Tonight, several developing stories as we come on the air. The holiday escape turning deadly. Accidents grinding traffic to a halt in 2 major cities as more than 40 million Americans hit the roads. Now a sweltering heat wave settling in. Our Ginger Z standing by. A 4th of July like no other. That's what President Trump is promising in the nation's capital with tanks and military planes. But how much will it cost and who's paying? And can the White House keep politics out of it? The Navy SEAL speaking out, losing his rank, but walking out of court a free man after he was cleared in the murder of an ISIS prisoner. What he's now saying about his fellow SEALs who testified against him. The disturbing officer-involved shooting, a man armed with a knife refusing orders, charging at police, shots fired, and it is all caught on camera. The haunting new drawings by children inside an immigration detention center. Tonight, the president's message to migrants, if they're unhappy, quote, tell them not to come. The judge under fire for what he said about a teenage suspect accused of rape, that the teen comes from a good family and has good grades. And the American phenom, just 15 years old with another Wimbledon win. Her words for the opponents she'll face next.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us on a busy Wednesday night. I'm Cecilia Vega in for David, and we begin with the holiday rush to get out of town. Millions of Americans already in the air and on the roads, and the havoc turning deadly. Right here in Manhattan, a truck skidding off an overpass onto a major roadway. At least 12 people injured. An 18-wheeler plunging off this bridge in Houston. The driver did not survive, and you can see the traffic there backed up for miles. Despite these challenges, a record number of people are expected to travel for this 4th of July. ABC's Gio Benitez starts us off.
Tonight, these dramatic images from one of the busiest roads in the Northeast, just as the 4th of July holiday rush begins. A sanitation truck overturning on the outbound side of New York's Lincoln Tunnel. The truck falling off of the overpass. Several cars were involved in the crash. Bystanders rushing to help. At least 12 people injured.
This is a bumper-to-bumper delay.
The accident causing traffic mayhem, shutting down New Jersey-bound traffic in the tunnel, the highway above, and critical bus transportation out of New York's Port Authority.
They just went, no, closed. That was it. And they blocked the doors.
A similar scene in Houston, where a tractor trailer drove off a bridge, killing the driver. Emergency crews closing off 4 lanes of the highway to make sure it was safe. It all couldn't happen at a worse time. More than 80% of travelers will be driving for the holiday. More than 41 million people hitting the roads.
And Cecilia, we should tell you, today and Sunday are going to be the worst days to get on the road. That's when you're going to see the most traffic. New York, Boston, Houston, and Seattle are going to see delays 3 times longer than normal. Cecilia.
Okay, Gio Benitez leading us off. Thank you. And on top of all those travel woes, a heat wave getting even hotter with triple digits advisories in effect from Florida to the Carolinas. And along with that heat, the threat of summer storms from the plains to the East Coast. This flash flooding outside Chicago after a heavy rain there. ABC's chief meteorologist Ginger Z is tracking it all. Hey, Ginger.
Hey, Cecilia, we're going to be talking about heat indices reaching close to 110 degrees and severe thunderstorms. Already tornado watches on the map and warnings, in South Dakota. There are severe thunderstorm watches from Wyoming right through North Dakota. But anybody highlighted in green tonight could see a strong thunderstorm with lightning. So Illinois to Florida, keep an eye on that if you've got plans outdoors. Then got to watch that high pressure system because it's really settling in. The core of that heat going to settle for Savannah, Waycross, Georgia, down to Orlando. That's where we find those heat advisories. It's going to be exposure day after day because we're not going to cool down too much. And for the fireworks forecast itself, looks dry for a lot of folks, except in the southeast and, of course, back in the northern plains and Rockies. Cecilia.
Okay, Ginger, thanks. We'll see you tomorrow on GMA. Now to the growing controversy over President Trump's 4th of July plans. The bands have been rehearsing in front of the Lincoln Memorial, and those armored vehicles have now been moved into place. The president is calling it the show of a lifetime, but tonight, new word on just how much this show could cost American taxpayers. Here's ABC's Stephanie Ramos.
Tonight, armored combat vehicles on the National Mall. President Trump promising, quote, the show of a lifetime. The military hardware moved in overnight on flatbed trucks. The Bradley fighting vehicles, each weighing 30 tons, have just been loaded onto these trailers. Crews preparing to move them closer to the Lincoln Memorial, where heavy-duty crane mats have been laid down to protect the streets. They're part of the grand military spectacle the president has ordered up.
And we're going to have planes going overhead, the best fighter jets in the world, and other planes too.
Some military planes flying in from as far away as California. The acting Secretary of Defense on hand and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
And I'm going to be here, and I'm going to say a few words.
The president's opponents fear he's turning a traditionally nonpartisan event into a Trump-focused campaign-style rally.
I don't think he understands. This is America's birthday, not his birthday.
The event is free, but the White House has given VIP tickets to the Republican National Committee and top donors. On the mall today, I met Randall Tom, a Trump supporter who traveled here from Minnesota, and asked him about concerns that tomorrow's event could turn into a campaign rally. What do you think about that?
I think it's going to be wonderful because our president, he puts America first. We're coming together. We're getting our country being respected.
But tonight, there are new questions about the cost of this extravaganza. The National Park Service is reportedly diverting $2.5 million from improvement projects. The Pentagon hasn't put a number on its contribution, and the administration won't give us a price tag. But today, the president tweeting, "The cost of our great salute to America tomorrow will be very little compared to what it's worth."
And Stephanie Ramos joins us from the National Mall. Stephanie, President Trump says the fireworks for tomorrow's festivities will be donated, but now there are new questions about that tonight.
There are, Cecilia. The owner of that Ohio company that donated the fireworks, he had asked the president to hold off on new tariffs on Chinese products, including fireworks. The president later announced he would do that, but on that same day, the administration revealed the donation of the fireworks for the 4th of July. Cecilia.
Stephanie Ramos, thank you. We'll turn next to the Navy SEAL cleared in the murder of an ISIS fighter. Today, Edward Gallagher was demoted, but he walked out of court a free man. And now, while offering an apology to his fellow SEALs, he also accused some of framing him from the beginning. Here's ABC's Will Carr.
Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher lost his rank, but still walked out of court today a free man. The decorated special officer faced a murder charge in a case that pitted Navy SEALs against each other.
This small group of SEALs that decided to concoct this story in no way, shape, or form represent the community that I've, loved.
The jury acquitted Gallagher on the most serious charges, but convicted him for posing in a picture next to the body of a teen ISIS fighter. Before sentencing today, Gallagher apologized for bringing a black eye to the Marines and the Navy. Prosecutors allege that Gallagher, a medic, killed the teen. At trial, a fellow SEAL testified that he stabbed him.
They tried to frame me as a criminal from the get-go, but, we knew the truth the whole time.
The explosive twist in the trial came when Corey Scott, a SEAL with immunity in the case, testified that he, not Gallagher, was the real killer after he blocked his breathing tube following the stabbing because he knew the teen was going to die anyway. Gallagher had strong and unusual support from the commander-in-chief. Before the trial, President Trump got Gallagher out of confinement.
What do you want to say to President Trump?
Thank you.
President Trump tweeted today to the Gallagher family, "Congratulations. You have been through much together. Glad I could help."
The jury sentenced Gallagher to time served and dropped his rank, which could impact his pension. He's set to retire in 2 weeks, and even after all the allegations, he said he would happily serve his country again without a second thought. Cecilia.
Will Carr, thank you. We'll turn next to the chilling police confrontation in Athens, Georgia. It was all captured on police body cameras. Two officers heard begging a knife-wielding man to put down his weapon. The man tells them, "Just do it." He then grabs one of their weapons. The officer shoots and kills him. Here's ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas, and we do want to warn you, this video is disturbing.
It was a dangerous call from the start. Reports of this man armed with a knife acting erratically. And as the police body camera footage unfolds, the encounter quickly escalates.
Put the knife down!
The officers literally begged 23-year-old Aaron Hong to stop moving in their direction.
Put it down, man, please.
But Hong appears to want the officers to shoot him. He dashes toward one of the officers. 7 shots fired, but it's not over. Again, Hong demands to be shot. Hung overpowers the officer. Here you see him reaching for the officer's gun.
He's got my gun!
It's all over in less than 3 minutes. Hung is fatally shot. The local police chief says his officers were put in an impossible situation.
I want people to be able to see exactly what the officers were confronting.
The police chief said he's releasing these tapes so quickly because he wants the world to see his officers had no choice but to take a life, and that they did so reluctantly. Cecilia?
Pierre, thank you. And in Las Vegas, a police officer has been fired for freezing during the deadly massacre at the Harvest Festival in 2017. Body camera video shows Officer Cordell Hendricks remaining one floor below the gunman for nearly 5 minutes as rounds continually sprayed into the crowd. The attack lasted for 10 minutes. 58 people were killed and 422 wounded in that massacre. Next tonight, haunting new images from inside those migrant detention centers, these drawn by children separated from their parents. They show people behind bars and in cages. This as President Trump has a message for migrants. He says, quote, if they are unhappy with the conditions, just tell them not to come. Here's ABC's White House correspondent, Tara Palmieri.
Tonight, President Trump on the defensive after disturbing images reveal what the government calls dangerous conditions at migrant detention centers. Adults crammed in standing room only cells for up to a week. People sleeping on overcrowded floors. Children wrapped in emergency foil blankets. The president's message to them tonight, if illegal immigrants aren't happy, just tell them not to come. All problems solved. He's also lashing out at Congress members who sounded the alarm.
These women were being told by CBP officers to drink out of the toilet. This is CBP on their best behavior.
Tonight, the president tweeting, no matter how good things actually look, even if perfect, the Democrat visitors will act shocked and aghast. But now a new glimpse of the conditions in those detention centers through the eyes of children. The American Academy of Pediatrics releasing these pictures from migrant children as to draw what it was like in the detention center. One picture after another of little faces behind bars.
And Tara Palmieri joins us now from the White House. Tara, there's news tonight about the census and confusion over whether it will include that controversial citizenship question. The Supreme Court, as you know, blocked it from the 2020 census. Just yesterday, the administration said it would comply and print the census without that question. But today, President Trump seems to be sending a very different message.
Cecilia, the president isn't giving up that fight. In fact, he tweeted, we're moving forward. And now tonight, Justice Department lawyers told 2 federal judges that they're looking for a plan forward to include that controversial question on the census. But that judge told them that they only have until Friday. Cecilia?
Tara Palmieri from the White House for us tonight. Thank you. We'll turn now to the outrage over a decision by a New Jersey judge. A 16-year-old boy accused of raping an intoxicated 16-year-old girl and sending a video of the incident to friends. The judge refusing to try the boy as an adult because, he wrote in his decision, the boy comes from a good family, has good grades, and is an Eagle Scout. ABC's Lindsay Davis has more.
This New Jersey judge under fire tonight after declining the prosecutor's motion to try a 16-year-old accused of sexually assaulting another teen as an adult last summer. The family court judge citing that the young man was an Eagle Scout who comes from a good family who put him into an excellent school where he was doing extremely well.
This is absolutely an example of privilege playing out in the judicial system.
The teen allegedly took video of the attack and shared it with friends, texting, when your first time having sex was rape. But Judge James Troiano, seen here on this website that rates judges, says he believes there's a distinction between a sexual assault and rape. He goes on to classify rape as generally 2 or more males involved, either at gunpoint or weapon. Critics say it shows a deep bias in the judge's decision-making.
I would be shocked to see this result in any case where the defendant came from a family that didn't have financial means to send their son to a good high school and that they were college bound. That doesn't happen in those cases.
An appeals court has now reversed his decision, and that teen will now be treated as an adult. And tonight there are now calls for that judge to be removed. Cecilia.
Okay, Lindsay, thank you. And an Alabama district attorney has dropped charges against a woman who had a miscarriage after she was shot. A grand jury had indicted Marshae Jones for manslaughter in the death of her own fetus. They said she was the one who initiated the fight that ended with the shooting. The prosecutor today dismissing the case. And from here in New York City tonight, saying goodbye to a hero. Luis Alvarez, a former NYPD detective and champion of 9/11 first responders. You will remember him from giving that powerful testimony just last month on Capitol Hill. Today, hundreds of his fellow officers standing by as his casket was carried into the church, paying tribute to a man who spent the last of his days fighting for others. Here's ABC's David Wright.
He's the latest casualty of 9/11. Today in Queens, hundreds of police and firefighters paid their last respects. His sister gave the eulogy.
A man who served, defended, protected till his last dying day.
Detective Alvarez spent 3 months searching for survivors and remains in the toxic rubble of Ground Zero. It was there he contracted the cancer that killed him. Police funerals are always somber affairs. This one especially poignant because of the testimony that Detective Alvarez gave to Congress just 3 weeks before he died. He was urging lawmakers to renew the funding of the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund, about to run out of money next year.
You all said you would never forget. Well, I'm here to make sure that you don't.
Comedian Jon Stewart, who was there with him in Washington, was here today, too. That bill to reauthorize the 9/11 Victims Fund is due to come up for a vote in the House later this summer. Detective Alvarez truly fought for it with his dying breath. Cecilia?
He certainly did. Okay, David Wright, thank you. There is next tonight to London, where 15-year-old American Coco Gauff was back on the court after beating her idol Venus Williams. And the teen phenom did not disappoint. ABC's Ian Pannell was right there for it all.
Tonight, Coco Gauff taking Wimbledon by storm. The 15-year-old American tennis star soundly beating Slovakia's Magdalena Rybarikova in straight sets. The pumped-up crowd here today giving her a rare standing ovation.
Gauff captured the heart and the imagination of many of the crowds here at Wimbledon. She says she wants to go all the way to the final, and many here are hoping that happens.
Gauff stunned the tennis world Monday, beating her idol and tennis legend Venus Williams.
It's a dream debut for the 15-year-old.
I'm just still shocked that I'm even here.
Even so, the youngest player ever to qualify for Wimbledon is super confident.
I think I can beat anyone who's across the court, and if I don't think I can win the match, then I won't even step on the court.
This was a tougher match than Venus, but the youngster showed her brilliance, mixing up her game, and the crowd lapped it up. Hold on to your seats. We could be watching history in the making. Cecilia.
I believe you're right, Ian Pannell. Thank you. When Weekend now starting with new developments in that deadly home explosion in North Carolina. Authorities believe an interior gas leak may have caused the blast. Police also have identified the sole fatality as 58-year-old Rania Karam. Her husband was seriously injured but survived. He managed to call 911 to help rescue crews find him in that rubble. A volcanic eruption turning deadly overseas. The Stromboli volcano off the coast of Italy rocked by a series of eruptions, spitting ash into the air and sending lava streaming down its sides. Several fires igniting on the island. A tourist who had trekked to the top of the volcano was killed. Other tourists fled for the sea. And the stage is set for the Women's World Cup final after Team USA beat England in that 2-1 nail-biter on Tuesday. The American squad learned today that they will face off against the Netherlands in Sunday's final in Lyon, France. Superstar Megan Rapinoe says her hamstring is feeling good and she expects to be back on the field. And finally tonight, America Strong, the little boy, his dad, and a leap of faith. Here's Clayton Sandell.
Say, here I come, Miss Margaret.
We've all got something that makes us tremble with fear. For 3-year-old R.J. Hampton, his was the diving board.
Say, here I come, Miss Margaret.
2 years ago, his dad, Ron, posted this clip, R.J. holding on for dear life. The video went viral, but we never did see how the story ended. Now, there's a sequel.
All right, man. First time without me in the water with you.
This is R.J. now, a self-assured, confident 5.
You got it.
jumping in with the heart of a pro.
I'm of the mindset that you let your children face their fear, and once they get to the other side of fear, there's an infinite amount of success or possibilities on the other side.
And for the rest of us, maybe a lesson.
I would say you can do it.
anything they put their mind to. Yeah.
About how diving right into the deep end might just lift you up to new heights.
Diving head first. We thank Clayton for that, and we thank you for watching. I'm Cecilia Vega, and we hope to see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a good evening.